Good evening, everybody, and welcome to King Dolphin Television. I am Raymond, author of the Dolphin Wars trilogy of books and ruler of the most fantastic pod in the universe. Welcome to Fantastic Four Reviews, and this is episode 399, which means Saturday is episode 400. It is going to be huge, huge. So, yes, today we're going to review the next two issues of Fantastic Four from 44 years of the Fantastic Four DVD set. All right. Before we get started, I would like to ask you guys to please let's clobber the algorithm of YouTube, and please like, subscribe, listen in the background, do anything you can to show that you love this channel here and you love what we're doing here at King Dolphin TV. Also, if you want to, if you're so inclined and you want to help out the channel, please do what FKHC 2005 says. Make sure Dr. Raymond Boom doesn't send Snorty and Trike to collect his money. Play up in super chats, super stickers, or the tip link. And I know Snort Poopers will be bringing that out. And yes, let's put a CT out there showing we are thinking about clobber times. Mike, you're loved, you're missed. But yes, let's put the tip link out there. Okay, and Tim FKHC 2005 sent a meme about this. Let's get this up here. Let's see. He says, every time Marvel does a Fantastic Four movie, I like it. I like it a lot. That's cool. And here is the tip stream. Because Snortapoopa says, because one good tip deserves another. Yep. And also, we do need to make sure that these two shysters don't come invading your home and shake you down like this poor sap is getting. I swear that guy is Mr. Magoo. Snorty and Trike, they rule. So yes, we sure don't want these guys coming along. All right. So let us, before we get started here, let us oh wow. Oh my goo, you've done it again. And Snort says, hail to the Trike. Trike is barking up there. Okay. So let me welcome everybody who is here so far. I will be right back. Trike is barking in a weird manner, and I just want to make sure things are okay. So I will be right back. Sorry about that, guys. Trike just had a weird bark, and I just wanted to make sure he and his mommy are okay. So everything's good, and we can continue. Hello, Swift minus one. And speaking of which, let me start. Let's start with the the intros. I say hello to everybody. Hello, Swift minus one. And Tim says, so Taylor Swift has more rings than the Buffalo Bills then. Oh dear, oh dear. Yeah. Oh dear, oh dear. Let's see. Okay, so we got Swift minus one. Let's see what this is. Oh, I like it. I don't know how long that would do, Tim. Okay. So we have Swift minus one. And now, the amazing chat crew, the lifeguard corps, the fantastic lifeguard corps. First off, our producer, Sandra. Right now, she's upstairs. She will be back now, I hope. Okay. We got Trike, who barked and tried to get my attention, the official dog of King Dolphin TV. We've got Dalek451. Hello, sir. How you doing? We've got FKHC 2005. We've got the wonderful, amazing, flaming Legatus Legionii. And we've got the hardest working bear in the internet, the baddest quadruped in space. We've got Snortopoopas, Cube Bar, Dot Screen, hashtag Roar. There you go, Snort. Now we're ready to rock and roll. Snort goes, it's chomping time. of course, there's King Dolphin in the background, right near the torch. So now we can get the show started. All right. Swift will have a new category to sing about: a breakup after a proposal for marriage. Well, lay back, relax, and enjoy this next reading. Dalek says, the last 3 days have been emotional and exhausting for me. I'm sure you can guess why. Yes, I've been there. Moving sucks. It's good when you have a place, but the whole process of moving sucks. So please put a D451 out there. Sure, we're thinking about the canned guy. Show the canned guy that we're thinking about him. All right. Okay. All right. Let's get going here. All right. So we are going to be doing issues 28 and 29 of Fantastic Four. And again, I get these from my DVD set, 44 Years of Fantastic Four. So, and it goes all the way back from the beginning. It goes all the way forward. So, we will get started now. Dalek is a parental unit to a young hatchling Dalek? Okay, so let us get going here. Okay. All right, so we are doing issue number 28. Guest stars galore as the FF tangles with the X-Men. And that's not Maul. You'll see the Mad Thinker, Puppet Master, and the awesome Android. All right, here we go. But first, we got an ad. Learn electric appliance repairing at home in your spare time. Look at the eyes on that guy. We'll furnish this amazing electronic kit and a ceramic heater kit, whatever you need to do with that. All right, so the fabulous Fantastic Four are shocked to learn we have to fight the X-Men. Written by Stan Lee, drawn by Jack Kirby, inked by Chick Stone, and lettered by Art Simic. All right, so it's a typical afternoon in the skyscraper headquarters of the Fantastic Four, which means that the only thing we can expect to happen is the unexpected. So Ben is hauling a statue that Alicia made of him, and Ben loves it. Reed and Sue are reading about the X-Men, and Johnny is asking about it. And Reed says, amazing how famous they've become in such a short time. And Ben, of course, is the cynic, so he said, who'd they ever let? And Sue says, Magneto, Space Phantom, the Blob, Quicksilver, the Scarlet Witch. And Reed, so they're going, yeah, you got Toad, Mastermind. And Johnny says that he and Iceman defeated Barracuda. So, and then Ben is just proud of the statue. He says, You know, Alicia, if you ask me, you're a better sculptor than the Puppet Master. Or maybe you just had such a great model. And Alicia is kind of sad about that because he's her stepfather. So Ben is kind of sad about that because, you know, the having a creep like him for a stepfather. You better not try to come into her life again, not while he's around. And then all of a sudden, in a secret laboratory, you've got a meeting of the minds. You've got the mad thinker saying it's exactly 12 seconds to 4. The puppet, according to my calculations, the puppet master should enter the door at the precise interest. And there's the puppet master. And he says, I'm not going to help you. And he sees the awesome android, who he stole from Mr. Fantastic and programmed him to be obedient to the thinker. And you got the little asterisk on the bottom saying Fantastic Four 15. So he is bragging on himself that he can predict anything, accomplish anything, and he knew exactly where the puppet master could be. God, what an ego. So he is working on a plan to defeat the Fantastic Four. And Puppet Master is cynical. He says they've always defeated him. So he hid. And the thinker says, with your power in my brain, I promise you'll succeed this time. He gives him a lead-lined suit and he gives the Puppet Master a suit, and then he is, what he says is he's been trying to deduce what the leader of the X-Men looks like, and he's got a mold which he thinks would resemble Professor X. And so now the Puppet Master is designing or sculpting from his clay a puppet of Professor X. And he says, good, don't stop. When you finish, Professor X will be in our power. That means his X-Men will be ours to command. So he's over there. He's looking at the puppet and starting to put the commands. And at the school in Westchester County, Professor X is feeling mental control. And though his body is confined to a wheelchair, his mind is the most powerful on earth. He fights back. And the puppet Puppet Master is not getting the result. So he's putting more clay into it. And he is actually, I have it all figured out to the last centimeter. Use another 4 1/3 grams of radioactive clay. All right. And he stops. He continues, but the subject is still resisting. He says, what manner of man is he? And the professor, and they explain that he is more than just a man. He's a true mutant, one of the hidden race of Homo superior, the men with extra power, the X-Men. And he keeps fighting, but he can't even fight the clay. And he tries. He says, for their sake, I must fight, must resist, but I can't. Pressure's too great. I must obey. And then he falls under the casts the spell and says the command to the X-Men. He says, I've got new orders for you. You must obey without question. And they say, find the Fantastic Four, trap them, and then destroy them. And they're all skeptical, saying, what? And the angel says, look at his face, his eyes. He's not joking. He means it. And Beast says, there's no logic in it. And what Professor X says is, the power of my mutant brain enables me to listen in to other people's thoughts. And I learned that the Fantastic Four planned world domination. And the X-Men are the only ones that can do it. So they go. So they take a helicopter and head to the Baxter building with orders. Make them think it's a peaceful visit and catch them off guard. An alarm goes off. Mr. Fantastic takes a look and sees that it is the X-Men. And they think it is a friendly visit. So the FF lets them in. And they start schmoozing. Jean says that Sue's lovelier than the pictures. Johnny and Iceman schmooze. Reed is talking to Cyclops. Ben is making fun of Angel's wings. He's saying, what do they feed you? Bird food? And Alicia's saying, behave. They're our guests. And Cyclops says, we've learned of an alien spaceship and at a mesa, and thought that the FF might join in investigating. And Reed says, we're too busy now. Torch and Reed are finishing touches on a nose cone that he developed for the Air Force. And now Cyclops is ready to be killed. What I don't understand is Cyclops is actually getting a thought from the thinker. How is he getting the thought from the thinker? Because unless Professor X is relaying his thoughts to them. And then we'll go to our first ad. Don't let them call you skinny, advises beautiful young actress Quinn O'Hare. So here you can they make skinny women voluptuous. All right. For women, men, girls, boys, and convalescents. You know, back in the day, they want you to get fat, and here they don't want you to get fat nowadays. I don't understand. Right, so let's go to let's see. Anybody? Hello, Marcelo Lopez. How you doing? How you doing? Welcome. Okay, let's see. Oh, yeah. Thanks. Okay. Congrats. Trike's upstairs with mommy. Hiding here because y'all are fans. Well, welcome, Marcelo Lopez. Not me. Bears don't need glasses. They have X-ray vision and fly too. Yes, I have seen them. All right. Okay, so we'll start to the next chapter. After we see the pretty lady. And then Cyclops uses his power beam to knock the nose cone off the rack. And he avoids all the blasts that Cyclops is doing. And the torch uses the flame blast, but it's held back by his power blast. And Johnny, he's saying, my widescreen force beam can hold back your flame as well as any other weapon used against me. But Johnny says, maybe, but you can't keep it up forever, so if my flame lasts, you better head for the elms. And then Ben, Marvel Girl, and Alicia are admiring the statue. She's saying, we have our jet copter out there. And Ben is saying, I'm too busy admiring my favorite hero, namely big-hearted Benjamin J. Grimm. And she's saying, we have our orders. And Ben is scoffing at her. And then she grabs the statue and Ben's over there trying to grab it. And it falls and breaks. And he's like, I can't look. It's like beautiful me being clobbered. And he's ready to go after Jean. She uses her telekinetic powers to spin Ben. And Sue sees this and tries to get her to stop. And now Angel grabs Sue. And he tells her, don't struggle, we won't get hurt. She won't get hurt. And Sue's saying, well, look, the other seal will clip the wings. And then Iceman uses ice lasso to trap her. What I don't understand is, how is Angel flying in such close quarters? And Sue's trying to calm them down, saying, I warn you, the Fantastic Four won't think this is the least bit funny. And Angel says, we're not trying to be funny. Meanwhile, now Beast has joined the fray with his big talk, channeling his inner Reed. You gentlemen are causing us all a great deal of unnecessary discomfiture. It behoves me to show you the error of your ways. And so Reed takes on the Beast, and the Torch takes on Cyclops. And Reed rolls Beast, but then the Beast recovers very quickly. And then Reed tries to swallow him up, but he's all bent up. As Beast says, your flexible frame could be as much a handicap as an asset, especially when a dexterous chap like me can bend you into the proverbial pretzel shape. And Reed bounces him back. But the Beast recovers. Beast tries to continue to grab Reed, but Reed is just trying to figure out why they're fighting the Fantastic Four. Then the beast the beast runs into Thing because the uh, Marvel girl was holding him at bay with her telekinetic powers. And Beast says, fighting the Thing isn't my biggest ambition in life. So Thing grabs Thing grabs Marvel Girl, and the Beast tries to distract him and avoids his clobber. And then Iceman tosses a frost bomb at the Thing, trapping it. And then he traps him into ice blocks. So they got the Thing all trapped. Boy, the X-Men are making monkeys out of the Fantastic Four. And Reed is telling Cyclops not to play with those experimental ray machines. And Reed is saying, this is the only way I'm going to force you to surrender. And Johnny's ready to use a fireball, but Reed says that he wants to know what's going on, so let's pretend to surrender. And he tells Cyclops they surrender. And he knocks Thing in there, and Ben breaks out of it. And Reed says, hold on, fight's over. And Reed is turning off the ray machines and is saying the X-Men's turn. And Ben wants to, I better land a haymaker on someone soon. I don't want to grow up frustrated. And then they lock the men in a chamber and take Sue as a hostage. Yep, the old Sue is the damsel in distress trouble. Wait till she really knows her powers. They're going to be in trouble. They'll have enough air in the steel locker and it prevents them from trying the invisibility. And here's another fitness ad. Boys, men, my secret new Dynaflex method can build you into a magnificent new He-Man muscle body in just 10 minutes a day. No weights, no barbells, no exercise at all. I got a better way of doing it. Run from Snortopoopas. That'll do it. Okay. I lost all my 60s comics in Hurricane Andrew. Yeah, my dad threw a lot of my old stuff out. Aw, Dalek. One of the tenants set off a firearm because they thought it would be fun. Oh, welcome to multiple living. My PC goes all the way back to the 70s. When I was working in a new library building, kids kept setting off the fire alarms. The guy says they must have thought a polar bear in the far south was too hot and needed the fire sprinklers to cool you off. And that gets us snuffles. Oh boy. Not talking about kids, talking about someone whose autism was worse than mine. Oy, sorry to hear that, buddy. Hail, Phantom Outsider. How you doing? Glad you're here. And Tim is back. All right, so let us continue. All right. So now Sue is being kidnapped yet again by the X-Men. And they take off in the helicopter, heading for Destination A, wherever that is. And Beast says, from what I know about that quixotic quartet, they would follow a shadow in a pitch black cavern. Actually, it's just three of them. They have Sue. And Ben tears out of there. And Johnny's saying, aren't you worried about Sue? And Reed says, of course I am, but I'm sure she's in no danger. And Reed is saying they want us to follow them, and that's what we'll do. And then Ben finds Alicia, and Reed says, it proves my theory. They don't mean actual harm. They even put Alicia out of the way so she'd be safe. And Johnny says, if that's how they act when they're peaceful, I'd hate to see them when they're looking for trouble. So Ben is telling Alicia, we'll be back after we clobber. They knock some sense into those kids. And they take off into Pogo. And I love this little block because this tells us something about Ben. You know something, Breed? You and that Beast character haven't gotten a real conversation. No one could understand no Western. Even he wouldn't be sure. And Reed says, you don't fool us, Ben. You hold a college degree or two yourself. And Ben says, don't broadcast it. I want the world to think I'm a self-made genius. And they're heading over to the Mesa. So they land. The X-Men were told to land and wait. And Sue says, you fought with the Fantastic Four, took me prisoner, came to this desolate place and don't know why. And Angel says, the one we take orders from knows what he's doing. Our job is merely to obey. And Professor X is telling them to fight the Fantastic Four and subdue them again. And they're trying to find out what his motive is, but he broke communication. They land, and they get into a fight. And Reed says, defend yourself, but don't hurt anybody if possible. And Ben says, now don't spoil anything by saying ouch. Sue's got Jean Grey in a force field. Reed's trying to take on Angel. Johnny and Iceman are brawling. And Ben is taking on Cyclops. And he hits him with a full strength beam, but Thing is still pushing. Next thing you know, he falls into a hole. And Cyclops is saying, this is booby trap. Reed is going after Ben. And Angel tries to get Reed. But Reed is caught in another booby trap, a real device that tangles him up. And another commercial break. You can sell grit. What the heck was grit? Midnight. And then you can get a Unisphere savings bank. Oh joy. A piggy bank shaped as the New York World's Fair globe. Opening April 22nd, 1964. Wow, I was 3 years old at that time. So, yes, you can get a piggy bank for $2. Wonder what piggy banks go for now. Uh, Marcelo says, "Did you bring pizza?" Phantom says, "I'm making pizza rolls. Does that count?" And if you made for everyone, otherwise Papa John's. Ooh, I had hamburger helper pasta. There's a few people at my work who shop there with kids like that. I'm very patient with them since I understand. Okay. So, okay, put that down. Now, back to the show. Here comes Trike. Okay, so Sue has got Marvel Girl in her force field. She doesn't know what it is, and then there goes Sue and Johnny to go try and save Reed. And then the Angel sees the booby traps going after the Torch and Sue. And they're caught in asbestos covered straitjackets. And Johnny's saying, "This whole plateau is one gigantic trap for the Fantastic Four." Sue's saying, "But the X-Men have always fought for law and justice, same as we. Why are they doing this? Why?" And then all of a sudden, the trappers reveal themselves. And they're looking away from the Thinker and the Puppet Master. God. Team Oblivious. Hashtag Team Oblivious. So, the Thinker and the Puppet Master come out of their hiding place. And then they tell the X-Men that they're slaves of the Puppet Master and the Thinker. The Puppet Master, the Thinker, I've read about them. They were defeated by the Fantastic Four many months ago. But we used you as the bait. And the Puppet Master has their leader and their power. And he's telling them to make you all, the X-Men, all unconscious. And he knocks them out. All but one. All but one. So the Beast, but the Beast is the only one because, as the narrator says, as great as the brain power of Professor X may be, when spread over 5 subjects at once, it is diffused, thinned down to the point where another strong brain might resist it, a brain such as the Beast. So the Beast is fighting back to control, and is heading to the Puppet Master, and knocks the puppet off of his hand and crushes it. Meanwhile, you've got Ben trapped in a pipe. So Ben starts climbing up, and he says, "Someone's going to pay for making my delicate little knuckles the way I did." And he sees Reed. And he starts unwinding that Reed. And Ben frees Johnny, and Reed and Ben freeze Sue. Ben says, "I feel like a guy who arrived in the middle of a murder movie. Can't tell the good guys from the bad guys without a program." And then he sees the android. Dun, dun, dun. And so So now they put all the pieces together. That the Thinker and the Puppet Master gain control over the X-Men. But now the control is gone, so they're using the android. And he takes on the X-Men. And they're not doing all that good right now. But now with the Fantastic Four, we'll see what happens. The android becomes icy and takes on Iceman. And Johnny says, I ought to get a medal as Chump of the Year. I warned the Iceman, but the android attacks me. Reed helps Johnny. Marvel tries to topple him, but it's tough. But then Cyclops hits him with the power and knocks him down. Sue uses the force field, but he broke free. And then it's Ben's time. Ben starts taking him on. And camouflage paint used in World War II and in Korea by U.S. Marine Commandos. You can become almost invisible. Does that mean if Snort uses it, he will be stealthy? Spy invisibly. Learn everybody's secret. Play Commandos. Gives you terrific secret advantages. Yeah, let's put some on Snort. That'll make him invisible. And then make 3 to 5 hours starting soon. Learning radio, TV, electronics automation by practicing at home in your spare time. Woo-hoo. Ooh. Let's see. Looking at superheroes, they all seem to have some attention deficit disorder, high IQ, hyperfocus, and have a hard time with emotional connections and impulse control problems. Yeah, that's this team to a T. Ooh, I like that. That's an interesting thing. Okay. Yeah, I kind of like that too, Marcelo. And is Tim going to play Tiny Tim? Collapse balls. All right, let us continue. We're toward the end of this issue. So, Ben is taking on the android. Ooh, 2 more triumphs for Marvel. Spider-Man and Thor. And there's the shop by mail. All the little cool things you could get all over the place. And Ben's fighting the android. The android is turning into the Thing. And bops the Fantastic Four, Ben. And then Professor X is released from the spell. Oh, they screwed up. Meanwhile, back at the headquarters, the gifted leader of the X-Men finds himself released from the Puppet Master spell since the Thing smashed the puppet. It was the Beast, you bozos. It was the Beast that took care of the puppet. Thing was still digging himself out. So he uses his thoughts and does a mental pressure on the android, and the android falls flat on his back. And then Reed says, it's incredible, as though he was beaten by an invisible command, by a thought which struck from nowhere. And Ben doesn't believe it. And they're looking for the beast. The beast, they're going to look for the beast, but Professor X says, wait. And so the beast goes into the tunnel, and he, but then the door closes. The Thinker and the Puppet Master are in a ship. He says, I always have an alternate plan in case I should miscalculate. This is our means of escape. And Puppet Master is saying, we were so close to victory. And the Thinker says, you allowed the puppet to be smashed. The one eventuality I did not foresee. So they escape. He says, we've only lost one battle. I never make the same mistake twice. Next time it will be flawless. And they see them escape. The Man Thinker and the Puppet Master. The X-Men apologize to the Fantastic Four. They didn't realize that it was the Puppet Master. And Reed says, no apology needed. You are valiant foes and equally valiant allies, and we're proud to have met you. Ben, of course, is Ben. So they leave. Reed says, makes you proud of the youngsters as today. I wonder who they really were. Refugees from a freak show, Ben says. And Reed says, if the android was beaten the way I suspect he was, the leader is far wiser than anyone knows. And Johnny says, you originally made the android to help mankind, but the Man Thinker turned it into a menace. Reed says, no invention is good or bad in itself. It's only the use of which mankind puts it that really matters. And they wonder if they'll meet the X-Men again. And Johnny says, you can't miss them in a crowd. And Ben says, they weren't too bad for amateurs, except maybe the Beast. He's too ugly. All right, so that is the end of issue number 29. Or issue number 28. So we will go to issue 29. Let's see. Hi, Sandra. Welcome back. The producer. Yay. Any comments on issue 28? These are good stories. Yeah, they are. I enjoy reading them. Okay, let us go to issue 29. So, next we will go to the next issue. episode 29. Issue 29. It started on Yancey Street. There's Big Eyes again saying you can repair electric appliance stuff. And the fabulous FF will never forget that day. It started on Yancey Street. Written with a dash of greatness by Stan Lee. Drawn with a hint of glory by Jack Kirby. Inked with a touch of drama by Chick Stone. Letter with a bottle of India ink by Sam Rose. All right. Looks like the FF are not having a good day. Ben stepped on chewing gum. Ben wanted to find. Sue says, I wish you hadn't insisted on our coming here, Ben. Even if there's been an increase in crime lately, I still think it's a routine police manner. Reed is saying, this is ridiculous. The world's most famous fighting foursome being pelted by a head of lettuce. So that's an inauspicious start for the Fantastic Four. And Ben is trying to get them to fight like men. And then he gets plonked with garbage. And Johnny's saying, no one can do that to my pal Benjamin except me. And they zap him with fire extinguisher. And Reed was saying, Sue was right. We can't fight this sort of thing trying to swat a fly with an atom bomb. And then Sue turns invisible but gets zapped by sneezing powder. And sneezing, Reed saying, let's get out of here. Natives are too restless. And Ben stubbed a little toe on his curb. And Johnny's saying, if Spider-Man ever learns about this, I'll never live it down. So they get to the Fantastic Car. And they get a ticket for overtime parking. Reed is saying, good thing the battery didn't go dead, or they'd have to call a tow truck. And they, meanwhile, trying to escape from the Yancey Street gang, they don't see a little electronic device flying. And it follows at a safe distance, keeping an eye on the Fantastic Car. So they get to, it's 35 stories. So it's a 35-story building that they live in. And they say, anytime we get swell-headed, let's think of Yancey Street. And so they land, and the little the little flying device flips her. And Reed is thinking that there may be a villain, one of the old enemies, trying to go down the Yancey Street. Reed's going to study the photos of the foes. Sue says, we should forget it. And Ben says, forget the Yancey Street gang. That's like forgetting Pearl Harbor. Johnny thinks it was the Avengers. And Ben says, if there were only nice, ordinary supervillains, we can use our power and collaborate. But you can't tear a neighborhood apart just to find a nut. Sue says they're better than fighting the Hulk. And she actually sees something that flies past And Reed is looking at the photos of their rose gallery. Reed thinks it could be anybody. You got the Mole Man, Super Scroll, Submariner, Doom, Red Ghost. Reed says, could it be the Puppet Master? And Ben doesn't want to think about it because he knows that this is Alicia's stepfather. Ben is thinking of breaking up with Alicia because it's not fair for him to waste her time. And Johnny says, Johnny is saying she's in love with him, even though he's too dumb. And she said she's in love with what she thinks I am. What happens if she gets her eyesight back? I'm not Prince Charming. And Alicia comes in. And she says, we shouldn't see each other anymore. I came to say goodbye. And Ben says, you finally realized I ain't good enough for you. And I don't blame you. And Sue is thinking these two lovebirds mean the world to each other. And oh boy, what a soap opera. Alicia now says she's not good enough for him. And that anybody would be proud to have the love. And she just doesn't want to waste time over pity. And Ben saying, I don't. She thinks that he sees her out of pity. And he says that Alicia's the greatest thing happening to her. And I guess they're back together again. Johnny says, how does the big gun do it? But he's got a better line than Rock Hudson. And Sue's saying she wishes a certain genius would learn a little of Bashful Benjamin's technique in the Sweet Talk Department. And then Reed tries to turn things around. And then they start pulling the fan mail. And then Ben gets a box. And then the little device activates the box and it goes boom. Yes, it goes boom and powders all over the place. The little object. Thanks, Sandra. She went boom. Yep, she did say it. So we must. So, Sandra said it. Wow. Let me double check that. Oh, yeah. Yes. Hail to Jack Kirby. Right. So, okay. Ben just got discombobulated. And there's a note in the box. And it says, it's the Yancey Streeters. And we're too chicken to come back here. And at the stroke of midnight. Reed is saying something is somebody else because it happened at specific instant. And Ben tears up the table. And now they're back at Yancey Street. And Reed's trying to calm him down, and Ben is over there trying to go after him. He's all set to say clobbering time, and then he gets clobbered by a gorilla. And there's the lovely lady. Reed tries to trap the gorilla. And then an orangutan shows up. I can't believe the world's greatest fighting team, and they're being totally oblivious as to who they're fighting. So the orangutan is using magnetic beams and ripping cars apart and throwing them at Sue. Johnny melts the metal before they can hurt. But then the third critter, a baboon, puts asbestos over Johnny's head and traps him. There's enough air to breathe. And then the baboon fires a beam at Ben. Man, look at how high Ben can jump being so big. And so Ben's trying to defend himself, and then he turns into a bunch of bricks, and the bricks go after Ben. Reed finally figured it out. I should have guessed who our real enemy is. It's also clear, but he doesn't know how long he can keep the gorilla out of action. And then the Reed gets hooked on a truck, and the truck is moving, stretching him, but Reed bounces back. Sue helps Reed bounce back, but he finally recognizes the creatures, and thus the red ghost comes out. And he says, "You prevented me from claiming the moon for my communist masters, and you must pay for that. So surrender, or I will fire in the bag, finishing the torch." So Reed surrenders, and Sue realizes that it was the red ghost to trap him. And now, so the red ghost brings down their spaceship, and goes into monologue. Yeah, you'll remember that my three apes and I were affected by cosmic rays on our trip to the moon, even as you once were. We all developed certain powers to challenge your superiority. So the orangutan brings down a spaceship, and the Fantastic Four are entering the spaceship. And the ship is controlled by magnetic power that can be controlled only by the orangutan. It's impossible for anyone to change the destination. And then they launch, and they head to the moon. I love that picture. I really love that picture of the moon. So they go into space, and they go to the moon. We have reached our destination, Richards. Now you shall see how empty your threat was, how powerless you really are. And there is Mr. Dynamite. Mike Marvel like marble. Okay, I guess there's issues for on YouTube. Pop culture breakdown. Marcelo saying, "Darn you, YouTube, check them off." Once a time, once upon a time, there was a superhero polar bear who wanted to fight crime. However, when he showed up, he went "Hello" instead of "Hi, I'm here to help," and the police blasted him in fear. That's why polar bears only do their good deeds or bad ones. Looks snort a poopus while invisible to keep that from happening. So YouTube kicked poor Marcelo off. So having Wi-Fi troubles there, huh? Yeah, 108. Now, they don't want dolphins wandering around. Phantom says the Yancey Street gang is mad at Ben Grimm because he used to be a member but left him to go to war, then to college. But Ben being Ben, and them being street punks never made peace out of. Oh, good. Wi-Fi extenders are good. Tim says the asbestos might come back to haunt him. Marvel 2-in-1. The Thing is fighting a villain. The gang attacks the villain because only they are allowed to go after the Thing. Yeah. Isn't it amazing how beautiful they could publish stories without computers back then? Jack Kirby is a master at those type of drawings. Right, back to the show. Right. Okay, so the FF start fighting back. Ben grabs the gun. Johnny uses flames. The Red Ghost already expected this, and he fades into a wall. And Ben is trying to grab the baboon. The baboon transfers into spikes, and Ben is going. Johnny says, "I'm going to handle your little playmate for you as usual." And Ben says, "If I had a nickel for every time I say," and they are trying to take out the baboon, and they escape. And it's already saying the end of the Fantastic. The cage that they were trapped in gets dropped on the moon, and it breaks apart, thinking they will be perished from lack of air. But they didn't count on Sue. The quick-thinking Mr. Fantastic told Sue to wrap her field around the quartet, keeping what little bit of oxygen is inside. And Ben is saying, "No one cares about old Benjamin." Old Benjamin. And Sue's thinking they're only going to last a few more minutes. And then Reed says, "Oh, what about the blue area?" And Reed stretches to see where he could see it at. And then they start heading there. But Sue's saying, "We can never climb that far before the oxygen gives out." But then they say that's Ben. He's going to do it. He digs. He digs, and the team is following him. Johnny's saying, "Don't relax the shield." Sue's saying, "I'm trying to hold it fast." And Reed is helping Ben dig. And there's Grit and the piggy bank. And then the oxygen is starting to finally get out. And everybody's passing out. And Ben is ready to pass out, but he uses one more punch and gets in a tunnel, and they can breathe. And then they find, at the end of the tunnel, they find some weird machines. And they have gotten to the Watcher. Reed says, at last I know where they are. This is all too alien, all too unfathomable to have originated anywhere in our solar system. It was built by someone in another galaxy. We've entered the home of the Watcher. Da, da, da. And then the Watcher appears. He says he's in a far distant galaxy, observing manners you can't comprehend. But he sensed the presence, so he sent an image of themselves. He knows why they're there. Reed says, you are welcome to seek shelter, but don't play with the devices. Reed is holding a device. Don't let Reed grab something. And Reed turns into a 10,000-year-old man. And Reed drops it and turns back to normal. He sees a globe holding an uninhabited planet 30 times larger than the sun and reduced so that he may study it. And the Watcher doesn't even know what this thing about is. Hold on a second. So in essence, the Watchers are giving a do not touch warning. Look at Reed's pictures. Look at Reed's face as he's looking at the planet. He's just like, "Oh, please, please let me touch it." So the Watcher vanishes. And Ben is saying, "I'm going to send a story about the guy for the most unforgettable character I ever met." So Reed is saying he understands some equipment and he thinks they may be able to survive this. And the Red Ghost is saying Think of the rewards when I announced to our totalitarian masters that we have defeated the Fantastic Four, and that he's already counting his medals. Soon I shall be the most honored figure behind the Iron Curtain. And now to broadcast the shattering news to Earth. But the ship heads to the moon's surface, and they can't slow it down. And now they're in the blue area. And the Red Ghost is saying they leave the ship, and then Ben attacks them by throwing a chunk at him. And the gorilla throws the rock back. Johnny melts the rock and attacks the Red Ghost. I'll write you a letter, but now drop that gun, or I'll make my circle of flame even smaller. And the Red Ghost turns ghost-like and walks through it, and he's shooting a disintegrator pellet at Johnny. And Johnny melts into the ground, making a tunnel, and the explosion misses him. Johnny's getting ready to ambush the Red Ghost, but the orangutan uses one of the jet fans from the ship and snuffs out the torch. And he's getting ready to shoot the torch, and he says, with the unpredictable human torch out of the way, I'll be able to use my special talent to the annihilation of the thing. But then you got Sue. Sue knocks away the gun, and he's saying, "Oh, the Invisible Girl still lives. I promise you, not for long." And the Red Ghost Sue's wondering what the Red Ghost is going to do. So let's go back to. Let's see. Okay. There was the vigilant, the asbestos man who fought the Human Torch, went to jail. Years later, he confronted the Great Lakes Benders and surrendered without a fight. He just wanted to remember. Sandra says they had imagination and talent. They were willing to put the work to get it right. Today, too many people are lazy and afraid to work. Because he was sick and then he passed. Anyone want to get the cause? Yeah. I wish I had those issues still. Seeing him gives me the feels. Oh, I know, Martello. Oh, I do too. I used to, when I was a kid, I'd always get two copies of the comics. One to read, and then the other ones to cut up and make into superhero games. Phantom says, funny thing about the blue area of the moon, it was not created by the Watcher. Years later, it was created by the Kree in a contest with the Skrull to get a third alien race to be there. Caroline, what did the Skrulls do? They killed the Kree and tried to take credit, and the other white race walked away. That race was not, to my knowledge, heard from again. I think it was the Inhumans. What Disney should have done is the story, but as the origin fight on the moon, Watcher warns of Galactus and the FF go to another universe to get him. Marcelo bought the camouflage paint. Funnest and saddest part, all they needed to do was use this story, just add in they were going to the Blair area, get powers, fight Red Ghost. And they wouldn't know a great story if it fit the Batui. And yes, thanks, Tim. Pop Culture Chat is live. All right. Okay, that is continuing the story. So, now it's Sergeant Fury and his Howling Commandos, the Death Ray of Dr. Zemo. And Spider-Man against Kraven the Hunter. And the baboon shoots at Sue. Sue turns visible and uses the force. And the ghost sees the house of the Watcher, and he wants to find a weapon to finish off the Fantastic Four. He said, it almost took unlimited power to force my ship to the moon. If I can find a machine that did it, I'll have all I need. And then there's Reed. We meet again, Richards. I wondered where you were. As you know, you can't touch me while I'm in my form, but I can fire my disintegrator. Reed is telling him, you're trapped on the moon. And the same as we, and my three partners will never rest till they punished you. And Johnny and Ben are holding their own against the monkeys. Johnny said, I got my flame now. And Ben says, come on back, let's have a rerun for the rest of us. And Sue and the others are trying to get into the place, and the wall fades ahead, and then the three come in. And the Red Ghost says, tell me how you did my ship, and I'll let you live. Tell me. And Reed says, nope. And Sue puts a force field on him. And it turns him solid. And Sue says, the invisible field affected him the way it does me. If nothing in it can remain unsolid. And he's getting ready to zap Richards. And Sue bops the Red Ghost, and he falls into probably a little black hole. He says, what's happening? Why do I feel so strange? Everything's spinning around. I'm in one spot, but I'm traveling faster than anyone traveled before. Yeah, he's in a black hole. Reed says it's some sort of matter transmitter, and that he may use it, the Watcher may use it to travel from galaxy to galaxy. And Reed is holding the power ray that brought a ship down. He never suspected it would be so small. And the apes fixed the ship and got away. And looks like they're stuck. And he says, the Watcher came back and said, I've returned, though I bear you no ill will. You must not remain in my home, so you depart. He is allowed to act in order to ensure his privacy, so he sends them back to which they can. And they end up, return to the planet of your birth, return to the land you love, return and remember Earth has good reason to be proud of the Fantastic. And they end up on Yancey Street, right in the middle of traffic. And Ben kisses a phone pole, and Reed says, if nothing else, we did learn that there are some places even worse than Yancey Street. And the narrator says, whether this issue is a hit or a flop, there remains to be seen. But one thing is certain, it ought to sell like crazy on Yancey Street. All right, so that is the end of issue 28. All right. There we go. There we go. I hope you guys liked it. These two issues. I hope you guys love these two issues and are looking for more comics reviews and fantastic shenanigans. Actually, and I'm thinking, Legatus, you probably got a better memory than I do. What annual, Snortopupus, claps pause, yes. What annual have we done so far of the Fantastic Four? I'm thinking we're probably at annual 3, right? Yeah, do you remember if it's issue annual number 3? I mean, we're not ready to do another annual yet, because we still got, let's see. We still got 4 more issues before the next annual. So we've got probably 2 more episodes before we do an annual. But I am just trying to remember if we kind of jumped the gun on annual number 3. I'll look for it though. I jumped the James Gunn. Yeah, probably. I'll take a look and then I'll figure it out. Right, so I think it's time for show notes.
It's time for show notes. It's time for show notes. Yeah, with Mr. Reagan and Sandra too. It's time for show notes. We're bringing it on. It's time for show notes. You've all been warned. It's time for show notes.
All right. First thing, let's see what Snortopupus has put up for us. Okay, Franklin was born in annual 6. Okay. Snortopupus says, take care, every human, dolphin, doggo, Dalek, ferret, eagle, hedgehog, and Bedlington Terrier. TM, a wholly owned subsidiary of the golfnews.com. And here is a Bedlington Terrier. Aw. Aw, what a doggy. What a puppy. Um, let's see. Good night, all. Be sure to do a pod rate at Pop Culture Breakdown. And Tim did. His dog turns 8 today. Well, happy birthday, doggy. Okay, so that is a Bedlington Terrier. Happy doggo birthday. Yeah. All right, show notes. I think right now, all I've got coming up is this Saturday, the 400th episode of King Dolphin TV on Just 'Cause. It will be huge. It will be spectacular. It will be magnificent. It will be 400. Yeah, I know. It will be big, spectacular, fantastic, huge. 400 episodes. Everybody is cordially invited. Please share the word. Share the wealth. Share the invites. Tell everybody that they are to come to episode 400 of King Dolphin TV. You won't regret it. Oh, puppy. Pet the puppy. Yes. We're going to have dogs. We're going to have hedgehogs. We're going to have eagles. We're going to have dolphins. It's going to be magnificent. It's going to be huge. 400 episodes. And then I'm going to try and figure out what to do for September. Because I don't have any interviews coming up. So please, if you know somebody, if you know somebody, it will be ballyhoo. There will be many adjectives, also expletives. Yeah. Human sacrifice. Yeah. Feed the snort. Thank you for keeping me company tonight, everyone. See you on Saturday. Good night. All right. Oh no, Sunday. Your Sunday are Saturday. Yes. All right. So, but that's all I got. So if you've got anybody I need to interview, please. Yeah, I know. We caught it. Please get me there. Please DM me their email addresses or their Facebook DMs so I can reach out to them and see if I can get some interviews. Otherwise, we're going to be doing a month of Fantastic Four rated. Hey, that's an idea. A month of comic reviews. What do you think about that, guys? A month of comic reviews. All right. But that is show notes. So let me thank everybody who was here. Sure. Also, I hope that you saw my first movie review, and it's probably going to be my last. I hope on the Fantastic Four. Hope you enjoyed that. Also, I put all spare to date on a playlist. So there is an all spare. Oh no, there's a Radio King Dolphin TV playlist. So if you want to listen to all spare, you can listen to it there. And I have some other playlists with other stuff. So check it out. We've got Marcelo Lopez. Thank you, sir, for being here. We got the great Phantom Outsider. We've got Swift -1. And the Lifeguard Corps. Sandra, our producer. Trike, the woofer and tutor extraordinaire. Dalek 451, thank you for being here. Buck up, chum. Moves do get better soon. Hopefully. We had FKHC 2005. Who sent this meme? He sent this meme. Kiss as the Fantastic Four. The Kiss Tactor. The Kiss Tactor. The Kiss Tactor. Never mind. You know what I mean. That's cool. Thanks, Tim. Okay. We had Legatus Legionii. And we had Snodo Poopas. Cube Bar. Dot Screen. Hashtag Roar. There you go, Snort. Love that armor. Love that Rocky armor of yours. All right. Again, bring everybody you can to episode 400. We're going to have a great time. And just stay safe for the rest of the week. And I love you guys. We'll see you Saturday. Huge.